alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to Alive After Reading. I'm Tim Niederreiter, and with me today is a returning guest, kicking ass all the way from... Actually, I don't remember where he lives now, but Joshua Pantalleresco. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, nice to be back. How's things going with you, my friend?
Oh, things are all right. I am actually pretty good in the mental health department, but writing wise, a little less slower than I'd like, as always, basically. So pretty much normal. Yeah. How about you? What have you been up to lately, Josh?
I made my first audiobook.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it was a great learning experience. So I decided to do the crazy thing and during this time and go, you know what? I don't want a job. I want to pretend that this never. When this is over, I don't want to go back to normal. I want to just do my own thing and not care anymore. So I think for me, because I was about like, what's your brand? And I thought, well, I'm a guy that likes to tell stories or write books. I released 2 books during this time. And I also like listening to other people's stories. So I thought, it'd be kind of cool if I took both my skills and put them together. And that's why I thought audiobooks would be actually cool.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So do you read the books or are you just producing them?
I read and produce.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so this this weekend's actually my debut. So I did a duo for Brad T. Anderson. That was fun. I actually had a lot of fun doing that. It's interesting bringing your own take into somebody else's story a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually considered trying to do audiobooks myself, but I just don't have a place with sound quality sufficient to get them on Audible, so it just kind of...
You can improvise quite a bit. Yeah. Like, I don't have a soundproof area myself, so but you can find quiet spaces in your house. Like, believe it or not, one of the coolest, easiest spaces in a house that will actually make it work, and that's a closet of all things. Like, you actually just start there. Because the closet is very insulated. There's not a lot of ambient noise that goes in and out of one. You're surrounded by walls, so you have a degree of soundproofing as well, which I think is actually which is quite good. I mean, that's one way of doing it. There's other ways. There are workarounds. It's just like when you're getting started, the trick is figure out where your quiet spaces in your house are. Have a microphone, do things like that, and then from there, you can just get started.
Yeah.
Or if not, I can do it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the reason it's been attractive to me, the idea of recording my own audiobooks, is that, well, 1, I like to talk anyway, and 2, though that's more like reading than talking. And 2, I also don't really have the funds to pay for audiobooks right now.
No.
Yeah, they're expensive. It takes a lot of work to properly compensate people for that. A lot of
well, yeah, they take. So this book was 90,000 words. Now this was a learning curve part 2. I probably put about 50 hours into this book, right? So now would I do it for the price I did it again? For even if I knew what I was doing, no, I would charge more, and I'm going to charge more. But you can probably. You're probably okay. How average size of your book is how long?
Well, I have a bunch of books, but the longest one's 165,000 words, and the shortest one.
That one's going to be about 80 hours.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's a huge book, at least for me.
Yeah.
So it takes 20. It's like what is that then? Like 2 hours per 2,000 words, an hour per 2,000 words, something like that.
It's not. No. An hour is about 8,000.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's about 8,000, about between 8,000 and 9,000 words. It depends on how you do it. But what you're looking at, right? It can be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending upon some things. But yeah, you're looking at about approximately 8 9 hours. You're looking at it for a book that size, probably about 16 hours, like finished hours.
Yeah, finished hours. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, 16 finished hours. So you multiply that on, if you know what you're doing, multiply that by 4. And that's that's your time. If you don't know what you're doing, multiply that by like 5 or 6, and that will be your time.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good to know. I've actually not in my old writing group there were people who always talked about audiobooks. I'm not actually a huge audiobook listener personally. I prefer to read when I have time to read.
Yep.
I just like to read the actual text because whatever. I mean, I get to go at my own pace then mostly. And I know you can slow audiobooks down and stuff, but they still keep going if you don't hit the pause button, you know.
Yeah, well, no, again, everything's for a different niche, right? For an audiobook, they're great for driving to work, they're great for working out, they're great for something to listen to. We all have a tendency to want noise or have noise in what we're doing. And when we're doing something. So, I mean, whether it's music, or some of us like music, some of us like podcasts, you know, I tend to do that too. But some of us just want a story. And, you know, honestly, it's actually a really cool thing. It's one of the things I kind of realized, like, when I started, like, I did the idea for this originally came from the day after COVID hit and everything was starting to shut down, the world went crazy. I started actually going on my podcast and reading my novel. And I realized, like, that's a really powerful thing when you sit there and think about it. But I always tend to look at art as art is basically a symbol of hope. I read that from a guy by the name of John 12 Hawks, and I think he's right. Art is the ultimate expression of hope. And the thing about that is, so if you're telling your story when all seems darkest and you're not sure where you're going or how you're getting there, that's actually incredibly powerful, and it inspires others to tell their stories too. C.S. Lewis did that during World War II. He read what would become Mere Christianity on the radio on the BBC. And, I mean, it doesn't seem like you're doing very much, but, I mean, it's probably one of the most, like, life goes on no matter what things, and that's actually very reassuring.
No, that's a really good point. I mean, that makes so much sense, and
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that makes it challenging. And honestly, because I've heard of a lot of creators having a lot of trouble creating during this the pandemic. You know, I mean, it's a pretty common thing to have an issue with. You know, it's like, okay, the people are like on I Should Be Writing, Mur Lafferty will talk about this all the time. She'll talk about, you know, it's like you don't really want to do it because it feels like there's no point. But then if somebody else shows you that that you can get it out there, it starts to feel more like there could be a point, or there is a point. Does that make sense?
Well, it's hard to take that first step on your own because you have no idea what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just of the mindset that, you know, I've never let, and me not knowing what I'm doing, get in the way of anything I've ever done. Because, you know, it's like, hey, I'm not afraid to look bad. I'm not afraid to look foolish. I'm not afraid to, you know, be, you know, you can't be afraid to fail. And you can't be afraid to be the only voice out there, because sometimes you never know what's listening. Like I remember, like, sometimes I'll put a post up on a Facebook or a Twitter, and I look at the responses. I mentioned that I'm getting responses. I'm like, sometimes I get nothing. I'm like, well, is anyone paying attention? And then every once in a while I'll put something out there and everybody's paying attention. It's like, whoa, right? That's the thing about when you tell a story. Sometimes you get nothing but silence, and that's scary because you don't know if anyone's actually listening to you. But what usually happens is you keep telling your story long enough, you find that your audience finds you.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's just a good. That's a good thing for all writers to remember, and all creative people to remember in general. I mean, if you, especially with storytelling, if you keep going, if you just keep putting the story out there, people are going to start taking notice. You know, because there's certain thresholds people talk about, especially as independent writers. You know, like you want 3 books for people to really start thinking you're serious about a series, for example. Yeah, in a lot of cases, or whatever. That's just as an example of what I've heard. And then, and the more frequently you put them out, the faster you do it. Then the faster you have that kind of sense of motion.
Hello?
Wait, can you hear me?
I hear you. Sorry, can you just repeat the last little bit there? I'm sorry about that.
I think if the faster people put out work, the more they not necessarily faster, but the more work you put out, the more powerful your presence becomes, in a sense of the more people are going to notice you.
Yeah, well, no, okay, so here's the thing, right? I remember when my first book came out. I remember When Words Collide. I remember this, When Words Collide in Calgary. I had my own table by myself. I remember that weekend I sold 10 books, which, you know, one of my customers was Diana Gabaldon, so I can't really say it was all bad. But I remember the next year when I had my second book out there, I sold more books. Like, the number grew incalculably. Like, it was like the moment I did something once, people kind of, this is how it kind of works. When you do something the first time, it's cool you did it, but people are like, whatever. Right? You do it the second time. Okay. Oh shit, he's serious. Right? Oh shit, he's serious. Oh, he means this. And then you do it a third time. And the thing is, too, here's the funny thing, too. Like what I find with everything you do. Okay, so I'm putting out a comic, and by the end of the month, I'm going to have my first page of my comic. Now I'm cheating because I'm not going to have any. I'm going to tell this right now. I don't have any pictures planned for the first 10 pages. I have a way of doing it. The first 2 lines, the first 2 words, I think are going to hook people because they're big, they're loud, and it's something every person feels when they undergo something completely new. And that's the thing. Like the first moment the first moments are always the scariest because you don't know what to expect. But as you just go forward and do something, suddenly you're like, you not only do people pay more attention to you, but your confidence grows, which makes more people pay attention to you, which makes your confidence grow, and so on and so forth. And suddenly you have whatever your niche and your audience is. It's almost like it's not if you build it, they will come. If you do it, things happen. And you can't always control how that goes, but it goes. You know what I mean? And when it does,
definitely, yeah.
You know. But anyway.
No. When it goes, you were saying.
When it goes, suddenly there's momentum, and when you get momentum, it's a very fun thing. Just then you get a different fear, and this happens to a lot of creatives too. Oh my God, this is going somewhere, but I have no idea where this is going. I've said this to a lot of people. I think honestly, for most of us, success is more terrifying than failure. Because failure, we all know how to fall off a bicycle. We all know how to slip and fall on roller skates. We all know what that first kiss was like. We all know that failure is a part of life. But success isn't guaranteed. And most of us, when we hit some degree of success one way or the other, tend to go, okay, oh shit, I've never been here before. Now what do I do? And instead of looking at honestly, it's like, instead of looking at the more honest question, how did I get here? What did I do to do this? And what can I do to stay here? Make success familiar. And then, you know, because you're still going to fail. You're still going to strike out. But there's that point. There's almost like there's 2 breaking points. You get past the fear of the unknown of doing something brand new. And then you have to get past the fear of the unknown of where it takes you when you become successful at it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I really do like, and I really like how you talk about the creativity and fear element, the element of your, you know, you just have to keep going because eventually you'll get used to it, kind of thing. But I actually kind of have to push back on it a little bit too, because I find that getting used to stuff, at least for my personality, getting used to stuff is actually kind of a problem for me. I mean, because when I get used to something, I get like, okay, now it has to be this way, you know, and that's the issue I have with it.
It has to be what?
You know, if I get used to writing a certain way, then I think all the books have to be the same way, and that's kind of a trap, if you ask. And so there's an element, there's some caution to be had there, or at least some concern to be paid attention to.
So I have yeah. Have you ever heard of Have you heard all my 8 rules?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. So I have 8 rules to success. Would you like to hear them?
Sure.
Rule 1: show up. I know that sounds really incredibly simple, but it's amazing how many people don't do it. Right. Rule 2: do your thing. I'll make this one the PG version. Do your thing. Whatever that feels like. Everybody. I'm of the belief that most people know what they're here to do. On some level, they have that instinctual, because we all tend to do the things we are comfortable doing on some level, or we feel we're good at, or we feel we have some skill at. We discover our skills somehow, some way, right? And talents. So somewhere in that we have something we should be doing with it, and so we do our thing, whatever that is. Or if you don't know and you have a job to do your job. Keep it simple. Rule 3, the cliche: don't quit. Sounds so simple. It's the cliche, but it's the only one. It's the one that makes the most sense of all the rules. That's the one to follow. You can screw all the other ones up, and you'll still get some degree of success. Rule 4: the rest is rain. Here's the thing, though. The result is in a lot of ways out of your control. When you put a story out there, you're reaching. You don't know who you're going to reach with it, right? Someone will trigger you and say, "Hey, that's a great book by Tim Niederreiter. I'm going to give it a try." Oh my gosh, it's awesome. And another person might go, it's Tim Niederreiter. Who cares? But by the way, I'm in more of the former, not the latter. But I just thought, but if there again, that's just life, right? Some people you're going to hit, some people you're not.
Yep.
Rule 5: get out of your way. This is the other rule. So rule 1 and rule 5 are the two everybody breaks. When I won the Aurora, I asked myself just like the 2 questions I mentioned earlier. How did I get here? What can I do to keep myself where I'm at or go farther, right? So, and that's I've been an Aurora finalist the last 3 years. I only won the one award, but the fact is every year I'm a finalist. I'm doing something right, and now it's about keep maintaining or improving upon my craft. Rule 6: no excuses. Don't make any excuses for what happens. Good, bad, or indifferent, own it. Rule 7: be grateful, be charitable. One of the things about this time, something I've been doing, human psychology thing. If you're grateful, you can't be despairing. If you're grateful, you can't be angry. If you're grateful, you can still be sad, but you can accept what's happening around you a lot more. So if you find something that you can be grateful for, you can be charitable to something else or someone else, you're actually helping your own well-being, but in also doing, you're also helping improving the world. So be grateful, be charitable. And rule 8, which comes back to what you're saying about writing all books the same, stay uncomfortable. Yeah. Recognize what your comfort zones are, right? I'm trying this comic because it's something I'm afraid to do. That's why I'm doing it. It's not because I don't know if it's going to be good. I have no idea if it's going to be good. It might be the worst thing I've ever done. But it's okay to suck at stuff. It's okay. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you tried, right? And that you did the best you could with what you knew how, right? And you've been doing something completely different. You expand your comfort. You expand and discover new things about yourself. And when you're writing, and one of the big writing things is there's always new things to try. My second novel, the one I'm working on right now, I'm doing things in this novel I did not do in my first novel. And it's already better, and I'm only on the first draft. I feel like this is going to be a much better novel than my first novel was. And it's simply because I've learned from the last time. Now I want to try something different and do something different and embrace that, improve upon the formula of what I know works, and keep growing and keep seeking that growth. Because again, everybody I know that's really successful has this tendency to always approach everything they're doing as if they have nothing. Because if you have nothing, there's a desperation in what you're doing, and if you have that desperation, you'll force yourself to go into new places you never thought possible, and that is always where you can grow.
No, that makes so much sense. I love that, and actually, all those rules go very well. I'm not sure if I follow all of them. I definitely need to work on some of those, but I think everybody does. It's kind of the thing. You don't.
Oh yeah. And listen, I have failed at every rule, every one of them. Right. I have succeeded at every one of them too. Right. But the fact is, I know they're there.
Yeah.
Because I know they're there, I can put myself in like a gut check of, okay, what did I do today? What didn't I do today? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking to a guy, like I said, that basically just completely, is in complete discomfort zone right now. I got everything. I got my basic needs taken care of for the foreseeable future, for at least in the short term. So, but anything extra I want to do, I have to fight for. And I'm going into directions. I figured out what like I said, as a freelancer, I had to learn some new skills, and one of them, believe it or not, is setting my prices high, because it's funny. This is something I think all writers need to really consider. Your story is valuable. Whatever that story is incredibly valuable. You have a lifetime of experience. You go through so much in your life to get to where you're at. And it's worth something because you lived it, you survived it, you grew from it, you became who you are. And when we write our stories, we're telling it, whether we're being honest with ourselves or not, there's a piece of us in all these stories, right? My first novel was about going into an uncomfortable places, leaving the comfort behind. My current novel is, trying to, recognize what a good and bad person is, because it's something I care about. What makes a person good? What makes a person bad? Right? These are things I care about. These are things I've experienced, and this is all based on my own experiences and the mistakes I've made in my life. And it's one of those that's worth something, and it is worth. But people won't respect that it's worth anything until you make it worth something. And once you have that, then what you do is you filter out the people that really, really want it and the people that really, really don't. And the people that really, really, really don't will probably be more than the people that do, but the people that do will support you. And those people are the ones you want to be around.
Yeah, preach indeed. It's very, very on point. Actually, got me thinking a lot of thoughts about that stuff, but I don't know actually exactly what's fit for the show. What I think I want to say though is that you can't please everyone with a work of fiction, for example, but you can please yourself, and if you get other people who like it, there you go. You don't need a lot of people to like it, relatively speaking. There's a lot of people on the planet, and now with global markets and everything, but even before that, you have access. You can get, with ebooks in general, especially, but you can get in front of people. That's not the challenging part now. And especially with independent publishing, you don't have to please, one of 20 editors in New York to make a sale,
No, I mean, here's the thing I'm learning, right? Like there are some current flaws with how independent publishing is structured. There's definitely from a content management perspective, there are definitely some things I'm concerned about. Right, I look at engines like Amazon and Spotify, and I look at them and go, "You cheap fucks." I'm going to just be blunt about that. But the thing about that is, though, there's an audience for everything, and you can find the trick. The trick is being honest with yourself about who you are. Right. I like writing about these wild imaginative stuff. I'm writing about a parallel universe dragon slaying right now. I wrote about a Tron, with the cloud as archaeology in my first novel. My next book is going to be a race and a star. I love these wild, crazy ideas. That's just who I am. I just let's just go. Let's put the craziest little stuff together. Let's put it all into into one little Pandora's box and surprise people. And that's me, and I'm good with that. I want to surprise you. I want to wow you. I want to make you wonder. I want to excite you with the magic of the world, but also the magic of the human heart. That's who I am as a storyteller, and that's what I'm working. That's what all my stuff works towards. So, and that's my formula. So my niche is for people that are seeking something a little different, something that's that might be a little outside the realm of what they normally get, but is a nice, but for them a nice change. And that's what I offer.
Well, excellent. And that's pretty good for this show, I think, actually. So tell people what books you have on offer, the book, and where they can find your podcast and all that stuff.
So I took over the show, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. So my name is Joshua Pantalleresco. My current books are Alice Zero, Alice in Wonderland is Greek mythology and an epic poem tale. Alice is Pandora. She opens the box, and Certain Cheshire Visitors Inside Her Head. That's out now. My other book, Cloud Diver, is The Matrix Meets Indiana Jones. Very cowardly character follows a girl with a gunblade into the cloud, and he gets a file that everybody from zombie mobsters to unicorns to part rainbows are after. And the girl with the gunblade is his only salvation, and she probably doesn't like him very much. Just gonna say, that's they're both currently out now. I have a show, Just Joshing, airs 3 times a week, 2 interviews during the week, and then usually a story time or a presentation on the weekends. And I do audiobooks. So if you want me to make your story come alive and tell it in the way that only I can, give me a shout. My webpage is jpantalleresco.wordpress.com.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Josh. It's been great talking to you and listening to you. But as for this podcast, you can find more about us at mentalcellarpublications.com, and you can find my books at Amazon.com. Shadow Prince is out now. I finally got it out last month, and I am hoping to have more books out soon. I mean, Demon Scroll is the first book in that series, though. This is epic fantasy with a kind of a dark twist to it. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and have a good week.
That tears it.